Newcomer Kropchuk is there to shoot it back up. Now controlled by Stelnov, number 4. Ahead onto the wing. Here's Kamensky moving in, trying to center to Homotop. Broken up, and Canada's Crossman cleared it. Krop sliding it all the way down the ice. And it's grabbed by Milnikov. As then Stelnov and Lemieux bump into each other after the whistle.
Well, Coffey, who's had his problems over a period of time with his skates, adjusting them once again. 4-2, the Soviets leading Canada. I guess it's more his shin guard than his skates. Last year, he had a dreadful time of it through the first part of the season. Just couldn't find a pair of skates that fit him properly. Was in a slump. Got over that, and of course finished strongly and led a team to a Stanley Cup.
Now Canada with a forward line of Howard Chuck, Goulet, and James Patrick up front. Normally a defenseman. Rochefort and Crossman on defense. Howard Chuck gets the draw. Shot by Rochefort, deflects just wide. Milnikov took no chance as it came off the backboards and just smothered it.
Well, one thing when you've got a defenseman up on your forward line in a face-off in the offensive zone, he's the kind of guy who can go right into that goal mouth area. He's used to the traffic in there, and he has to face that kind of traffic defending his own zone. There's a young player who's shown a lot of promise in this tournament. Anatoly Fedotov. Be around for a long time. Plays for Moscow Dynamo.
He's 21 years of age. I think Tikhonov is intense.
Yeah.
Here's a drive by Canada. Rochefort let it go. Milnikov making the stop back of the net. Gusarov trying to clear it out of there. And it's carried out by Lomakin, number 23. Crossman checked him. Now Fedotov wide with that shot. And Rochefort takes Homotop out of the play with a tough check. Canada can't get it out. Semyonov holding it in. Well wide with that shot. Now cleared in by Fedotov, and Rochefort has it for Canada. Rochefort up the middle to Howard Chuck. He's upended, and he's hurt as Gusarov caught him right at center ice. And Howard Chuck is shaken up. And now Gusarov goes down. I didn't see what happened to him. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Dale Hawerchuk very upset at the hit he took from Gusarov in the center ice zone. Then Gusarov was nailed by Rochefort afterwards as a retaliatory measure. Koharski didn't see that. He was looking at the original incident, and this is why Fetisov is arguing. Watch to the left of your screen here. You'll see in the center ice zone, Hawerchuk is kneed perhaps by Gusarov. And as Gusarov went down to defend in his own zone, he was nailed by Rochefort and went down himself. There's Gusarov. Another good young defenseman of this team, 23 years of age.
No penalties on either play. Soviets 4, Canada 2. Soviets led 3-1 after the first period of game 1. Made it 4-1. Canada came back eventually to tie it. Game 2, Canada led 3-1 after 1, and the Soviets came back to tie it. The 2 goals with these teams, differential after 1 period, not proving to be that much. Here's Hartsburg decking Himmelach with a check as he caught him with his head down. Now Priyakin racing in. Canada starting to throw their weight around, and it's shot out by Tocchet down the ice. Konstantinov going back together. And it's icing called against Canada.
Well, a couple of great hits. Hartsburg was the one that started it. And Hartsburg in a foul mood with the scoreboard reading 4-2. Somebody said something to him, but a good clean hit in the center ice zone. And then a couple of hits down in the Team Canada zone. Here it comes right to your screen. He nailed him, stood him straight up, and sat him straight down. And they're going to have to do a little more of that. Looks like they're getting a little mad, and I think probably that may be the best thing that could happen to Team Canada. They played the first period a little less than with total enthusiasm.
Hit, but they better stay out of the penalty box.
That's right. Keep them clean. Keep the sticks down.
Here's Crossman for Canada to Gartner. He couldn't get it out. Karutov has it for the Soviets. Over to Makarov. Rockport bumps him hard. And Canada then clear it out of there. Anderson sliding it to center ice. Now Fetisov passing it up on the wing to Karutov. Rochefort back to get it. Messier, Anderson, and Gartner up front. Here's Messier leaving it for Anderson. He's checked, and Makarov breaks away with only Rochefort back. He has Karutov with him. To Karutov. Shoots. Oh, Fuhrer just got a piece of that, and it trickled off to the corner. And Crossman has it for Canada. Delno pinching in. Now Messier. Messier loses. Makarov trying to carry back in. Crossman tying it up. And a jam up in the corner. Rochefort coming up with it. Flips it out. It hits Makarov as he was going to the bench. Now Crossman cleared once. Delno jammed in there by Anderson. And it's held. And we get a stoppage in play. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
On the right there is Larionov. On the left was Karutov, but it's Makarov who paved the way for this play. And the shot by Karutov just trickled through and behind. Boy, they have been dangerous, especially in this game. Dan Makarov, he is having a great hockey game.
When they get a scoring chance, it's a dandy. They seem to be wide open. And that's why the shots on goal don't mean very much. It's the chances they're getting. Beckhoff flipping it in. Fuhrer there to clear it. Lemieux couldn't get it. Stelno held it in. Bork blocked his shot. Flips it up the middle. And it's shot back in by the Soviets. Now Lemieux and Gretzky are out on the forward line back together with Krop, the other member of that trio. Here comes Murphy into Lemieux. Lemieux cutting in. Lemieux trying to center, does to Bork. Bork got it in front. Gretzky in front. And Lemieux was upended. And there'll be a penalty to Beckhoff as he tripped Lemieux at the side of the net. And a Canada power play coming right up. Beckhoff to the penalty box. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Vyacheslav Beckhoff goes on for tripping Mario Lemieux. A great chance here. Watch Gretzky. Here is the puck rolling loose. Gretzky gets a little bit of a piece of it, rolls it. I don't know how he got that pass away, and then Beckhoff just nailed Lemieux in the goal mouth area. And that drew the tripping penalty. It's the second time that Lemieux has drawn a penalty in this game. As they drawn a penalty, his Czech has taken a penalty trying to handle him. But 8:24, Canada goes on the power play, and the crowd here is starting to pick it up once again.
Gretzky up front with Lemieux and Tocchet. Murphy and Bork will be the point men. Canada 1 for 3 on the power play tonight. Trailing 4-2, but with a chance here. And now Gretzky. Wanted to talk to someone, I believe. He's showing the linesman that something's on the ice.
And now he's going to go over and discuss things while the linesmen are busy with Mike Keenan. One thing you can do is just kind of... here are the scoring leaders up to date in the tournament. Gretzky 3 points ahead of Lemieux. Makarov having a big night tonight is close to within a point of Lemieux. And Karutov with 14 points now. Nicely balanced, 7 goals and 7 assists.
Here's Messier to, or at least Gretzky to Tocchet. Couldn't get a stick on it. Gretzky again. Tries to center. Lemieux was open but fanned on it. And the Soviets come back, led by Lomakin. 2-on-2 break. Murphy there to use the poke check. And ties up Lomakin. And Lomakin trying to freeze it. Murphy gets it loose. Larry Murphy. Fires it in. Gretzky comes in. It comes to Murphy. Back to Bork. Into Lemieux. Soviets go into that box. They drop it to Bork. A drive and a save by Milnikov. And he held it.
Big thing about this line, the way they've got it now with Lemieux and Gretzky, they've added Tocchet to the line. And Tocchet's the man. He's the designated slot man. He's in there to cause problems for Milnikov. Good play here, and this is the difference. They're getting the shot away now with Tocchet right in front of the net. Gretzky swooping in, looking for any kind of a rebound himself. He's a very important guy in this game so far, Rick Tocchet. He's played a lot of roles, but most of them are the physical roles. And he's been very much responsible for the 2 goals that Canada has. Points on both of them.
Tocchet from Scarborough, Ontario, a key member of the Philadelphia Flyers. 1:20 left in the penalty. Now Gretzky over to question the referee, Koharski, about something. Soviets, Ron, to me, tonight when they're shorthanded, are playing the box and not playing as aggressively in a shorthanded situation as they did earlier.
They don't want to let them get too much of that game in close.
Here's Bourque for Canada. Into Lemieux. Back to Bourque. Over onto the wing to Murphy. Centered. Tipped away by Makarov. Lemieux. Back of the net to Gretzky. In front to Murphy. Shoots. He scores!
Oh, play with it. Shoot it. What happened was the defense got spread out here. Tocchet, they started worrying about Tocchet at the side of the net. Murphy wound up getting the puck at the side. As the defense was going the wrong way, on the short side, he put it in, but whether that shot had been blocked or not, it certainly paved the way for a good rebound. And as it was, it found the hole, and Canada trails by just a goal.
Another great setup by Gretzky as Murphy gets his first of this Canada Cup. Comes with 10:40 left in the second period.
The other point goes to Mario Lemieux.
So Gretzky and Lemieux get the assist. Canada within 1 of the Soviets. Here's Priyakin coming in. Coffey trying to take him out. Back to get it. This Tocchet feeds it to Gretzky. Delnov in to tie him up. And now Gretzky gets it to Coffey. Out for Tocchet, but intercepted and shot back in by the Soviets. Coffey back for Canada. Coffey being checked by Priyakin, and Priyakin dumps it in. And now Propp has to go back for Canada. Out on left wing to Gretzky. Over for Hartsburg, off the boards for Propp. Brian Propp, number 26, shooting it in. Going back to get it, Propp check. Gretzky stole it, centered, Kamensky intercepts. Soviets come back. Number 13, Kamensky. Lets it go, and that's high off the glass. Right back the other way, Canada with Gretzky. The Coffey to Propp, has Sutter with it. Here's the shot, high and over the glove of Milnikov. Propp behind the net, trying to get it to Sutter. Brent Sutter for Canada. Bekov comes up with it. Now to Homatov. Homatov got it to the line. Rochefort held it in, and Gusarov has it for the Soviets. To Homatov, number 15. Flipped in, cleared out by Crossman. Now Fedotov trying to set up Kamensky. Back comes Crossman for Canada, trying to feed it up to Goulet. Goulet on the left wing boards. Slides it around. Into the corner goes Crossman. Now to Howardchuk. Dale Howardchuk, center to shot. They score! Brent Sutter ties this game up.
The key to this is look at the traffic in front of the net. Out comes the pass. Everybody going for the net, and Sutter with a great shot off the roof. Howardchuk just getting it out in front. Sutter moving in. Glove side. Couldn't put it in a better spot.
Canada comes back to tie it at 4-4. The Soviets at one time led 3-0.
Howardchuk and Crossman will draw assists on this. Here's Howardchuk out in front. Again, that great shot. The feeling is glove side high on Milnikov. You can beat him. He doesn't have a good glove hand.
Brent Sutter's first goal of the tournament. Howardchuk and Crossman the assist. 11:06 the time. Canada 4, the Soviets 4.
Oh, the crowd's starting to take over, too. You can hear them start to build with the Murphy goal. Now they're really going. We've got the coach up on top of the bench.
Wow. Something has been thrown onto the ice, and that's why we're handing the delay as one of the rink attendants comes out to straight something that's been thrown onto the ice. That gives Milnicop a chance to get a breather.
Get another look at the goal by Sutter. And again, we talk about the problem that Milnicop has with his glove hand. Hawerchuk handling it from behind the net, feeds it out in front. And the slow glove. Now, that's a tough shot for anybody to deal with. I don't care, but right now, it's put Canada into a 4-4 tie. We'll take a break right now as they clean things up on the ice. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Canada 4, the Soviets 4, and here we go with Bourque flipping it in for Canada. Racing in was Sutter, but it was whistled down on an offside or a high sticking call, I believe, ruling that the Soviets had knocked the puck down with a high stick.
Canada with a 7-4 shots on goal edge in this period, but again, the shots on goal, as Dan mentioned, not a good statistic in this particular game because the Soviets have had so many good scoring, clean scoring chances. They scored 3 goals on their first 4 shots, and each of them was a good, clean scoring chance.
Now Gilmore, Lemieux, and Sutter, the Canada forward line. Breaking out is Womakin for the Soviets. Poke check by Bourque, and Lemieux right back for Canada. Mario Lemieux trying to leave it there. Knocked down, and Semyonov right back the other way for the Soviets. Lemieux gets up limping. Now Gilmore back to the goal. Gilmore trying to clear it out, and now we're going to get a penalty. Back of the play is Lemieux and Kasatonov were making threatening glances at each other.
All right, here's the play. Now there's a slash in here, but watch the skate of Kasatonov. And there's the slash across the back of the leg. But I don't think Lemieux appreciated that skate very much. It may have been inadvertent, but it certainly was an area where it could have caused a lot of damage.
So the Soviets in this 4-4 game with a man advantage. Slashing against Lemieux. 8:26 left in the second period. Soviets are 0 for 1 with the man advantage tonight. They send out the green unit. Larionov, Makarov, and Kurutov with Fetisov and Kasatonov on defense. Canada with Messier and Gardner up front. Soviets with the man advantage. Rochefort from the faceoff. Tries to clear it out. Pinching in. Fetisov to Larionov. Larionov to Makarov. Kicks it to Kurutov, and Rochefort checks in. Kasatonov held it in. Over onto the board to Larionov. Back to Kasatonov. Return to Larionov. Now to Fetisov. Shooting. Blocked by Gardner. Fetisov to Kurutov, and Gardner breaks it up again. And then cleared at the center ice. Couple of key plays defensively by Mike Gardner. Here's Kurutov. To Fetisov. Now to Larionov. Larionov flips it in. Kurutov cuts in. Big save, pure rebound. And that's chopped away by Crossman for Canada. Larionov held it in. His shot blocked by Messier, and Rochefort shoots it away. And a minute left in the penalty, and an interference call as Gardner gets upended. And an interference call coming up here to the Soviets. And to Larionov.
Watch the left-hand side of the screen on the replay, and you'll see Gardner, number 12 for Canada, knocked down right in the center ice zone as the puck was cleared up ice. Larianoff. That means that Canada, at the end of the Lemieux penalty, will have 1 minute and 2 seconds, barring further penalties. They'll have 1 minute and 2 seconds of power play. Here's Krutov. Every time you see these guys, you got to get up on the edge of your seat. What a save that was. And then Kasatonov moving quickly in for the rebound, but he was forced into the corner.
Krutov scored a goal in game 2 in a very similar situation. Each team a man short, copied. Anderson deflected it. Milnikov made the save and then smothers it. 53 seconds left in Lemieux's penalty. 1:56 left in Larionov's penalty for the Soviets.
What a deflection there by Anderson. Taking that shot from the point by Coffey, and all he did was get the heel of his stick on it and steer it right into the padding of Milnikov.
Gretzky getting Coffey positioned properly. Gretzky against Bekhoff on the faceoff. Gretzky gets it into the corner. Gets help from Anderson. Now Stelnov over. And he gets help from Bekhoff, who feeds it out to Homatop, number 15. Coffey spun him around. Koharski looks the other way as he figures Homatop took a dive. And it's Hartsburg shooting it in. And he did. Back to get it, number 29, Igor Kravchuk. Out to Bekhoff. Bekhoff trying to get around Hartsburg. Bekhoff to Homatop. And Canada come back. Here's Gretzky. Gretzky trying to get Coffey going the other way. Now a break for the Soviets. 2-on-1. Bekhoff to Humalap, and a stick save by Fuhr on the 2-on-1. Now Lemieux back on. Another shot by the Soviets. Fuhr the save, and here's Lemieux with Gretzky. 2-on-1 break. Big save, Milnikov on Gretzky. As that time it was Lemieux putting in number 99, and Milnikov slid across to make the save. Canada on a power play. 35 seconds left in the Soviets' penalty. Now Semyonov firing it in. Back to get it is Bourque for Canada. Ramo Bourque flips it in. Fetisov back after it. That's pocket into Korchuk. Here's Gretzky. Centered. Lemieux in front. Couldn't get the shot off. Gretzky again. To Bourque. Over to Murphy. Into Gretzky. Back to Bourque. Into Lemieux. Across to Murphy. Shooting. Blocked at the defense on a dive across by Fetisov. Oh, they moved it around again and around and around, and they did set up a play. But a defenseman was the one who took the shot. Fetisov making the save on Murphy. Very nicely set up. There's Rick Tocchet. Big check inside the zone started this. That's Lemieux. Across. Here's Murphy. And the shot blocked by Fetisov, who was down with plenty of time to block that shot. If it had been a Gretzky or a Lemieux, you might have seen a quicker trigger. Now Larionov is out of the penalty box, so the Soviets are in full strength. 5:23 left in the second period. Canada 4, Soviets 4. Here's Messier on a faceoff. Gets it to Gartner. He and Fetisov battle. And now Krutov to Makarov. Back to Krutov. Upended, and Crossman is there for Canada. Trying to clear it up. Makarov held it in. Over to Kasatonov. His shot blocked. Messier couldn't get it out. Here's Makarov. Back on the point to Fetisov. Centers to Krutov. Shot. Right on, and Fuhr made the save and held on. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, a reminder that during the upcoming...
Well, we have had a few dives in this game. Here is one of them. This is the one we mentioned. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Greg Louganis.
Homatop was the player who Koharski just looked at him and looked the other way.
I'll tell you something, both sides are doing a fair amount of that tonight.
Soviets, Fetisov at the point for the faceoff. Closing in, Murphy dives to poke it away. Now Makarov, back of the net, gets it back from Fetisov. Makarov for Karutov. He's checked, Canada clear it. Soviets hold it in, but now carried up by Murphy. As Howard Chuck and Sutter with it. To Howard Chuck, shoots. Milnikov the save. Howard Chuck back of the net, stuffs it in front. Shoots, he scores! Dale Howard Chuck!
There's an old line, Dan, that says when you hit a guy, you create a turnover. Sutter behind the net was the reason for this play. Here comes the puck into the zone. The shot is going to go off the goaltender Milnikov. Here comes Sutter. He's going to take the puck away. Creates the turnover. Howard Chuck, one chance. Comes back out to him. Second shot into the net. And Canada, for the first time, has the lead. His fourth goal of the tournament. Dale Howard Chuck. But the key again was the slugging along the board. It's almost like we're watching that big Soviet game in 1984. The sluggers are doing the job at the key time. Tocchet, Sutter. Take a look at the names that are cropping up on the score sheet here tonight. Look at the turnover. Here it comes. There's the big check. And the puck is turned over.
The scoring play, Howard Chuck from Murphy and Kropp, 15:32 the time.
Sutter does not get a point, but I'll tell you, that guy right there loves him.
Dale Howard Chuck from the Winnipeg Jets has just given Canada the lead for the first time tonight.
Isn't it amazing? We've seen so much of Lemieux and Gretzky, and suddenly in a big game like this one, the grinders are out.
Now a Team Canada line of Gilmore, Tocchet, and Goulet. 4:28 left in the second period. 5-4 Canada.
Isn't it amazing the difference in this hockey game compared to games 1 and 2 of this series? The artistry isn't there. The excitement certainly is.
And a lot of thumping in this game, more than in games 1 and 2. Bourque back after the get the puck for Canada. Passing it to Murphy. Murphy to Gilmore. Too far for him. Gilmore racing in. Got around on the board. Here's Tocchet. Back of the net. But intercepted by Kravchuk and cleared. And the Soviets work it to Homatov at center ice. Bourque took him out of the play. And Gilmore knocked it to Goulet. And now a high sticking penalty coming up to Bourque as he took Homatov out of the play. And Canada will be shorthanded as Bourque goes to the penalty box.
Alan Eagleson is going to be our guest during the second intermission if he can get his nerves settled down. Oh, that's an NHL referee there you're yelling at. Al? Don Koharski calling him as he sees him, and he has seen Ray Bourque high stick somebody. And he has called him for it. I wouldn't change a thing the way Team Canada is playing right now. They're getting the odd penalty, but they're also playing the type of hockey when things have gone sour in the overall playmaking of Gretzky and Lemieux is going to win for them.
Soviets on a power play with a forward line of Semyonov, Womakin, and Semak. White men will be Gusarov and Fedotov. Canada with Gilmore up to win the faceoff. He and Anderson are the penalty killers with Crossman and Rochefort on defense. Gilmore broke the play up. Now Gusarov dropping it back to Fedotov. To Gusarov. Alexei Gusarov up the middle for Semyonov, number 30. Samac centered, and Anderson there to tip it away. And then Gilmore cleared it away for Canada. Fedotov, number 14 for the Soviets, 1:30 left in Canada's penalty. Now Gusarov to Fedotov. Back to Gusarov. Firing to Semyonov. Into Lomakin. Dropped it to Samac, but Gartner intercepts. And Gartner fires it away.
Notice how they're picking up the men right at the line. Something Brad brought up. They're letting the defense back in. They're not doing it anymore.
Here's Larionov as the Soviets change on the fly, leaving it for Gusarov. Now to Makarov. Gartner checked him. Makarov tries again to Krutov. Krutov leaving it for Larionov. He drops it back, and Fetisov couldn't hold it in. 42 seconds left in the penalty. Fetisov to Kasatonov. Kasatonov, number 7. Leaving it for Krutov over to Makarov. Now to Fetisov. Into Larionov. To Fetisov to Kasatonov. Moves in deeper, and Murphy took it away from him, and Murphy clears it out of there. 12 seconds left in the penalty. Excellent penalty killing here by Canada. Larionov now trying. Leaves it for Fetisov. Fetisov flipping it in. Crossman there to poke it away. Gretzky flips it. Anderson able to carry it out, and Gretzky now takes a pass at center ice. Breaking in with Bourque. Gretzky shoots one, and that went off a stick high and wide. And back the other way, Makarov. Team's at full strength now as Bourque has served his penalty. Here's Brian Propp. Fans on it as he went to clear it. Now drops it to Rochefort. Over to Crossman. Off the boards to Gretzky. Gretzky dumps it in. Fetisov there for the Soviets. Now cleared out of there by Semyonov. And Kumalev flips it ahead for Kryakin. He gets knocked down by Bourque. And Bourque will get another penalty here. With 1:09 left in the period. A hooking call against Bourque.
The Labatt player of the game for the Soviet Union will receive a set of 10 Olympic coins, compliments of Canadian Tire, an official supplier to the Calgary 1988 Olympic Winter Games, and a few dreams along the way. Canadian Tire.
Mario Lemieux arguing about the penalty call, but it's a hooking penalty against Bourque.
Well, Ray Bourque up against the boards. In this case, I'd give the penalty. They may have put a little mustard on it, but he also got hooked. Last time, Bourque was off. No shots on goal by the Soviets, so they did a terrific job on the penalty killing last time out, but you can play with fire, too. You ought to keep doing this.
Just 1:09 left in the period, so Canada will, if they can get through this first part, the first 1:09, will have a break in the intermission to rest up their penalty killers. Soviets are 0 for 3 tonight with the man advantage.
And the penalty killers, who did a pretty good job last time for the most part. Gartner out there. And Rochefort will be back at the blue line.
Doug Gilmore is going to take the faceoff against Bekov.
Who's shown us some pretty good skills in terms of faceoffs in this tournament.
Soviets have 4 men inside the blue line. Homatop is away off on the right wing boards, but Gilmore wins the draw, and the Soviets have to go back and regroup. Here, Kravchuk, number 29, giving it to number 15, Homatop. We're in the final minute of period 1. Kamensky moving in. Gartner takes him out. Fewer out of the net to clear it. Homatop losing it. Gilmore trying to knock it out of there, and did with a volleyball type move, hitting it with his hand, and he hit it up into the Soviets bench. So the faceoff will be back inside the blue line.
Off the Soviet player's head, I think. And so the faceoff will come back inside the Team Canada zone. There's Gilmore. There's some of the players that have really noticeably improved their game as the finals have come on. Gilmore and Brian Propp is very interesting. The overtime period the other night and this game. playing very, very well.
Now Messier comes out to replace Gartner, so Messier and Gilmore will be the penalty killers. Now Gartner comes back. And they're going to take Gilmore out of there and leave Gartner and Messier up front.
This is a Team Canada home game, by the way. They have the last change, or whatever it's worth.
Beckhoff against Messier. 47 seconds left in the period. Soviets on a power play. And they get it to Stelnov, who moves in from the point. Shot it around. Homatov. Trying to center one. Gartner there to clear it away. Kravchuk, number 29, back to pick it up. Kravchuk was supposed to be out for this series with a knee ligament problem, but he's in there tonight. He feeds it to Kamensky. Into Homatov. Rockport ties him up. Homatov gets loose. Gartner hacks away at him. Now Beckhoff to Kravchuk. Shot right on. Kamensky after the rebound. Kravchuk a drive, and that's just wide. And Messier with 8 seconds left clears it out of there. Soviets have to go back. Kravchuk with 2 seconds left clears it up. Second period is over. A good one for Canada as they come off the ropes and take the lead after 40 minutes.
Well, they outscored the Soviets in the second period 3-0. And they have the lead 5-4. Canada outshot the Soviets 12. The Soviets outshot Canada, correction, 12-8 in the second period. Just a turnaround of the last period. Canada outscored the Soviets 3-0.
We've seen that a time or two before in this series. 5-4, Canada leads after 2. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV. Our Toyota scoring summary brought to you by Toyota, makers of the racy Celica GTS. Who could ask for anything more? Who could ask for a better second period than Team Canada played? Murphy at 9:20, Sutter to tie it at 11:06, and Hawerchuk to give Canada the lead for the first time in the game at 15:32. Shots on goal favoring Canada by a wide margin after 2 periods, 31-17. But still only a 1-goal differential.
And the Soviet Union are going to play the first 52 seconds of the third period with a manpower advantage. Just doing some quick calculation here in the broadcast area. We've played 255 minutes and 40 seconds. That's 4 full games plus 15 minutes and 40 seconds. And the score is 19-18. You can't get much closer than that between these two teams. A lot of offense, but not much to be said between the two teams.
3-3 in the round-robin meeting, then 6-5 for the Soviets in Game 1, 6-5 for Canada in Game 2, and here after 40 minutes, 5-4 for Team Canada. Canada returning to the ice to another rousing ovation here in Hamilton.
Well, the fans here in the city of Hamilton have been tremendous. 2 games here in this final. They've been behind Team Canada when they've been down. They've cheered them on in their comebacks.
Canada the other night had only 3 lines. Mike Keenan said the crowd is our 4th line.
I'd say that's a pretty good 4th line. By the way, speaking of lines, statistic just handed us, Mike Keenan used 22 different line combinations.
Well, we've only played 2 periods.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a chance yet to find 7 or 8 more. 29 was his figure the other night. He was in that little room of his off the dressing room, I'm sure, trying to concoct a couple of others that will be right for certain situations.
First 52 seconds of this period will be pivotal because Canada and Ray Bourque will be in the penalty box as the Soviets in this rubber game, the third and deciding game for the 1987 edition of the Canada Cup, starts to unfold in period 3 before us.
There's something said up here after the first period. He said if it had been anybody but Grant Fuhr, he likely would have been taken out of the game. And I think probably they're right. Grant Fuhr is the kind of goaltender who can be cold in a segment of a game and then suddenly just be brilliant. And I thought he made a couple of very, very important stops in the second period. But he did not have a good first period. You'll be the first to admit it. Ray Bourque in the penalty box. Off for hooking at 18:51 of that second period. The shots on goal overall, Canada 27, the Soviets 21.
So not as big a differential as we talked about earlier. 27-21 in favor of Canada.
That's because the Soviets outshot Canada 12-8 while being outscored 3-0.
Here we go at the third period. Hold on to your hat. Canada clear it out as Crossman shot it up on the boards, and it goes over the glass into the penalty box area.
Nearly decapitated Bork sitting there.
Face-off will be about 10 feet inside the Team Canada blue line. Messier and Gartner up front. Rochefort and Crossman on defense. The green unit for the Soviets. Rutov, Makarov, and Larionov up front. Fetisov and Kasatonov the point men.
How'd you like the job, Dan, of selecting the outstanding player for Canada in this game?
Or in this tournament. Puck cleared down the ice. Kasatonov back to pick it up. Soviets with the man advantage. Up the middle to Karutov. Now to Larionov. Leaves for Makarov. Makarov poke checked by Crossman, and then Gartner got it to the line but not out. Now Messier does knock it out of there. And Kasatonov with 20 seconds left in the penalty. Over to Larionov. Leaving for Kasatonov. Crossman picks it off and cleared it out. Fetisov to Larionov. 5 seconds left in the penalty. Larionov firing it around. Now Bork is back on. Here's Fetisov, and a poor pass has to be covered up on by Kasatonov, who gives it to Larionov. Larionov to Makarov. He cuts in. Now around Coffey. Got it in front. Buer the save. Still loose. Whack at it. Just wide of the net. And Gretzky is back to get it for Canada. Look at Gretzky carry out. Hook check by Karutov. Covering up on the play is Murphy. Murphy into Lemieux. Offside at the Soviet blue line. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Well, this is what it's like to be a fan in Hamilton, cheering Team Canada onto what they hope will be a victory.
Howard, Chuck, Goulet, and Tocchet for Canada. Bork and Murphy on defense. Dumped in by Canada. Howard Chuck into the corner. Gets help from Tocchet to Howard Chuck to Goulet, but he couldn't handle a pass. And back comes Volmatov, number 15, with Pekov. And it's broken up by Murphy and cleared away. Number 29, Igor Kravchuk back after it. He quickly fired it out. Goulet carried back in with a couple of teammates already in the Soviet zone, and it's called an offside.
Well, Michel Goulet of the Quebec Nordiques, consistent 50-goal scorer in the National Hockey League. And he'll be out there playing on a line with Gilmore and Sutter at this particular time, and now they've called him off. We're going to try a new combination that has Howard Chuck out there.
Semyonov on the face-off against Sutter. Canada taking it. Now Murphy carries in. Firing it in. Gusarov back to get it. The same act, number 18. He just tipped it ahead to Semyonov. Howard Chuck checked him. And Murphy firing it across to Bork. Bork for Canada. Dumping it in. Fedotov there with Howard Chuck into check. Now same act back to get it. Tocchet ran into Gusarov and knocked him for a loop. Soviets clear it out of there. Trying to rule that Canada could have played it. There's no icing. Bork back after it. Bork to Gretzky. Leaving it for Bork. Up to Tocchet. Into center ice to Brent Sutter, who fired it in. Over the top, making a save, and Gusarov back to get him. Leaves it there. Fetisov loses. To Lemieux to Gretzky. Here's Gretzky. Out in front, backhander. That hit Lemieux. Drop after the puck. Now Gretzky. Centered. Here's Coffey in and goal. Goal to Todd. Rob Coffey. On another great setup by Gretzky. Back comes Verbuchen. Or Priakin it is. His shot. The stick save by Buer. Mario Lemieux cleared it, not out. But then Coffey picks it up. Has Gretzky and Lemieux with him. Leaving for Gretzky. Gretzky across to Murphy. Shot it just wide. As Murphy came in aggressively from the point. Now it's Hartsburg. Into Brian Brock. Up high off the glass defense drive. Canada changing on the fly. Here's a clearing pass to Gretzky. And they whistle that down and outside at the Soviet blue line. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Well, Team Canada seeming to play with a lot more confidence here in the third period. More in control of things, but that's the kind of thing that happens. There's a great play to Coffey from Gretzky. And a pretty good play by the goaltender. Milnikov stuck right with him.
Sergei Milnikov, his team trailing 5-4. And he may have held them in there with that save. Puck shot in by Canada. Anderson in on the boards. Comes to the point, into the corner to Gartner. Gartner trying to get it to Anderson. Knocked away by Kravchuk, and he carries to center. Igor Kravchuk, number 29. Cuts in, shot blocked, rebound. Krutov put it over top of the net. Here's Anderson. He loses to Makarov. Centered to Larionov. Rossmore blocked the shot. And the rebound is poked wide. Crossman for Canada. Krutov standing right in front of the net, keeping an eye on him, but Crossman beats Gartner, and Gartner slides the puck into the Soviet zone. Delnov, number 4, back to get it. They head to Larionov, into Kamensky, but broken up by Bork and shot to center, and Patrick tips it into the Soviet zone. Gusarov back after it. Cleared it, knocked down by Murphy. And now the Soviets with Fedotov. Gilmore checked in. Gilmore giving it to Patrick. Now ahead to Goulet. Goulet against Gusarov, and he whips a shot high up into the crowd.
4 minutes, 53 seconds gone. There's Valery Kamensky. He was great at Rendezvous. He scored only 13 goals in 37 games in the Soviet Union last year. But he made his year in Quebec City in the second game of Rendezvous when he scored those two important goals, and then that great goal to tie up the game the other night against Team Canada. Sent it into overtime. He has just been a phenomenal player. Keep saying he's not strong enough, but he's got the great shot. As a matter of fact, I asked Grant Fuhr who the toughest shot to deal with on this team. He says Kamensky. Well, his teammates say that Krutov's got the quickest release. The most dangerous shot, says Fuhr, is Kamensky.
Here the Soviets. Semyonov, number 30, breaking down. Semyonov is checked, and Hartsburg chops the puck out of there. Soviets go back and get it. Kasatonov, number 7. To Lomakin. He leaves it. Gusarov to Samak. Now to Lomakin. Leaving it for Samak right through his skates, and Rick Tocchet comes back for Canada. Tocchet dumping it in. It's all the way back out to center. Hartsburg waits for his team to get onside and drills it back in. Semyonov, number 30 for the Soviets. Gretzky into forecheck, gives it to Fetisov. Now to Kumalet, number 8. Gretzky checked into Lemieux. Lemieux over to Bork, who pinches in. Back of the net to Gretzky. Back to Bork, and Ryakin had it. Gretzky held it in to Murphy. Into Lemieux, shoots. Big save again by Milnikov. That time on Lemieux. Goal and center to Gretzky. Backhander, shot it wide. Oh, Gretzky with a brilliant opportunity. Here's Imalat moving back. Long shot, and Fuhr stopped that. Now Gretzky to Brian Propp. And Propp fires it in. Milnikov didn't appear to see it. Here's Gretzky in behind the net. Chopped away by Nemchinov. Held in by Anderson to Gretzky behind the goal. Looking for Lemieux. Lemieux well covered. Gretzky will come out himself. Turn, shoots. Milnikov got a stick on it. Here's Anderson. They have Lemieux tied up in knots at the side of the net. Here's Makarov. Tied up by Gretzky, but gets away. Now Nemchinov, number 12. Leaves for Karutov. Gretzky tried to steal it. Here's Gusarov firing it in. Crossman for Canada. Back he comes with Messier. Messier shoots from a bad angle. Milnikov the save. Bodies fly everywhere. And we're going to stop it. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
The Whalers clinch the Adams Division Championship, and they're all out mobbing their MVP, Mike Liu.
The Hartford Whalers are ready to defend their Adams Division title, and Sports Channel will be there for 50 action-packed games. Tune in all season long as Sports Channel brings you Hartford Whalers hockey. The Whalers face the Chicago Blackhawks on Saturday, October 24th at 7:30, only on Sports Channel.
People are always amazed at Wayne Gretzky's staying power. He just had a ship that lasted longer than 2 minutes. And yet at the tag end of it, he was still doing things. Just missed the net, and right there was Mario Lemieux. He was going to steer that in with his hand if he could have. That was up on edge. The reason Gretzky didn't get good wood on it or a good angle on it. But what a long ship he had, and yet at the end he still had the power and the stamina to make a good scoring play.
That was Gartner from the faceoff that Milnikov stopped, and Bork beats Messier. Beckhoff tying him up. Messier beating Gartner. Pass behind Goulet. Homatop starts back, got it into the zone, still has it. Homatop to Gusarov. Poke check by Bork. Homatop to Kamensky. Bork takes him out. Pure knocking it back to the net, and Murphy has it for Canada. He goes out the other way and gives it to Bork. And Bork flips it to center. Fedotov back after it. Gartner right on top of it. Gartner up, checking aggressively. Here's Gusarov. Now to Fedotov. In comes Howard Chuck. Fedotov beats Kamensky. Now to Beckhoff. Messier took him out. Howard Chuck getting it in. Soviets. Beckhoff trying to work it free, and Lomakin drops it back. Gusarov under pressure as Canada coming in to try and forecheck and rush the Soviets, and it's been working. Here's Semyonov breaking up. Long shot. Pure a glove save on that. Clears it up for the boards. Canada with a flip pass to Sutter that hopped over his stick. Semyonov trying to come back, and Coffey has it for Canada. Into center ice. Here's Sutter to Tocchet, and they whistle it down on a two-line offside pass. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Look at the point system or situation as far as this game is concerned. The top point man is Larry Murphy. He has a goal and 2 assists. Tocchet with a goal and an assist. So has Prop, and so has Sutter and Howard Chuck. Not the names you would expect.
Here's Coffey for Canada. Canada leading 5-4. 11 minutes, 10 seconds left in regulation time. Here's Lemieux to Prop behind the net. Prop couldn't get it centered, and Kasatonov beating one out too far ahead for Humalev. Going back to Sparksburg, and they wave the icing off to the Soviet linesman. Here's Humalev into the corner. Canada come up with it, and Prop is able to chip it out of there. And Fetisov goes back. Canada making a wholesale change on the fly. Puck cleared out. Here's Larionov. Larionov moving in, taken out of the play by Crossman. Makarov with the puck. He gets tied up. Now shot around on the boards. Crossman for Canada, able to scoop it out of there. And Makarov goes hustling back for the Soviets. Messier right on his tail. Two players collide. Here's Makarov to Karutov. Now Makarov into the corner. Centered, and Messier chips it into center ice. Stelno back after it for the Soviets. And Gusarov takes over to Larionov. Larionov flipping it into center ice. The Crossman for Canada to Normand Rochefort. Now to Gartner. He just lets it go, and here comes Doug Gilmour for Canada. Leaves it for Gartner with a drive. Off the glass. Bork behind the net to Gartner. Gartner trying to center. Flips it into the corner for Gilmour. He and Fedotov battle for it. Soviets come up with it, and Gusarov Cleared it into center ice. 9.5 minutes left in the third period. Here's Canada with Goulet putting himself offside as he carried it in behind him. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
The world is to get off to a bad start and then try to get your game right. Doug Brockman has recovered beautifully after he had his early problems in this game. That's known as playing the man. And Larionov flattened on the play.
Here's Canada with a line of Gilmore, Lemieux, and Goulet. Canada with a 5-4 lead. 9:20 left in regulation time. Back off for the Soviets. With a line, but Bourque breaks it up to Lemieux. Lemieux to Gilmore. Gilmore flipping it through. Fetisov back to get it. Now Fetisov can't get away from Lemieux. Here's Bekov trying. Stick handling neatly. Bekov moving it in. Broken up in the defense, and Goulet clears to Lemieux. Lemieux couldn't get around Fetisov. And now covering up for Canada. Bourque to Goulet. Into Lemieux. Lemieux cutting in. Shoots one. Off the skate and just wide. Goulet to Lemieux. Lemieux back to Goulet. Goulet put it through the crease. Here's Lemieux. To Goulet. Sutter alone in front, but he couldn't get it to him. Now Sutter comes in. Canada force a face-off in the Soviet zone. 8:32 left in regulation time.
Now to show Goulet in deep forechecking. And again, it produced a flurry around the net. The game is being played for a good part down on the Soviet end. So the old adage, a good defense is a good offense. Canada, again, I can't stress how confidently Canada is playing here in the third period.
They have outshot the Soviets here in the third period, 10-4. Now, Kravchuk and Sutter from the faceoff tie each other up. And we'll get another faceoff deep in the Soviet zone.
Brent Sutter in this game has a goal and an assist. By the way, if you're Gretzky Lemieux fans, each has a point, each an assist. They've not been as dominant in this game on the score sheet, although they've certainly had their opportunities and have handled the puck a lot.
Both Gretzky and Lemieux have missed great chances here in this third period. Here's Tocchet knocking it off the board. Semyonov checked by Sutter. He kicks it back to Coffey, who cleared it to center. Now Lomakin. He's bumped off the puck by Howardchuk. Tocchet to Howardchuk, who fires it in. Tocchet chipping it into Sutter. Sutter and Semyonov battle for it. Look at Tocchet grind behind the net to Sutter. Trying to get it in front. Lomakin is there. Now to Semyonov, number 30. Over to Semak. Moving in. Trying to get it to Lomakin. Howardchuk had him tied up. Now center. The shot. They score! Semak ties this game up with 7:39 left in regulation time.
So what else is new? Semak getting a puck right in front of the net. Semyonov being tied up by Coffey, and they kind of a collision there as Howardchuk went with him. And the puck just rolled past Fuhr. Semak closing in tight. Puck bouncing off the boards. Everybody giving chase, and that little pick allows a forward to scoot behind the net and slip it back out in front. And Semak has scored. He was the one who scored the game winner in overtime in game one of this series. So here we are, 7:39 left in regulation time, a 5-5 tie.
Here is Gardner dropping it to Rochefort, to Crossman. Back for Rochefort. Into center ice off of Anderson's skate. Now Anderson shooting it in. And Fedotov goes back to pick it up. Fedotov trying to clear it. Anderson held it in. To Messier. Shot away by the Soviets. And here comes number 8, Yuri Humalak. Moving in. Trying to go around Rochefort. Humalak into the corner. Messier for Canada. Out to Mike Gardner. Gardner checked by Fedotov. Gets it again, but then the play is offside at the Soviet blue line. 7:03 left in regulation. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV. Welcome of the Cubs Coliseum in Hamilton. 7:03 left in regulation time. 5-5, Canada and the Soviets. Canada dumping it in, but Tisop back to get it. Tocchet knocked him down, but he moved it to Larionov, and here come the Soviets. 3-on-3 break to Makarov. Makarov cutting in. Makarov right in, backhander wide. And Gilmore quickly moves it to Sutter. Sutter to center ice, to Tocchet, but Tisop knocks it down. But Tisop in across the line, tipped back out by Sutter. And Canada with Tocchet cleared down the ice. Here's number 2, Tisop. Flipping it out, Murphy knocks it down to Gretzky. Gretzky cutting in. Jack Lemieux held it in, but now Bekov back for the Soviets. They head to Kamensky. Kamensky trying to cut through. Hartsburg tied him up. Now Bekov behind the net. Gretzky has him in tow, and Lemieux comes up with it. Out to Gretzky. Gretzky with Crop and Coffey to center. Pass to Coffey. Breaking in. Coffey couldn't get around the defenseman. Delnov, and the Soviets clear it out of there. Muir lets it go for Hartsburg to touch. That's icing. 5:45 left in regulation. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Glenn Anderson, who did most of the hitting in the first period in this game. The rest of his teammates weren't doing a heck of a lot of it. They have come along.
Gretzky, Lemieux, and Crop for Canada. Semyonov against Gretzky on the faceoff.
D'Amico says you've got to put your stick down.
And Gretzky is saying Semyonov won't cooperate. Now they do drop the puck. Knocked back of a Soviet goal. Crop into the corner with Gusarov. Gusarov took him out. Now Lemieux getting it loose on the boards. Lemieux centered to Gretzky. Burns couldn't get the shot off as Semyonov had him tied up. Now Murphy at the point. Shoots deflected by Crop and just wide. Gusarov then able to clear it. And Murphy chases back. Samak right behind him. Samak stealing it. But Bourque was there to cover up. Bourque for Canada. 5:12 left in regulation time. Here is Bourque. Feeding it to Goulet. Shot wide. Bourque in to get the rebound. Back of the net to Goulet. Out in front to Lemieux. He's too well shut. And the Soviets clear it and get it to center ice. Bourque back after it in a hurry. There is Nemchinov shooting it in. Bourque gets it to Hartsburg, to Gretzky, who deflects it in. And Lemieux gets up and the fans holler about that. Kasatonov out into center ice for Puma left number 8. Into Priaka. Hartsburg took him out. Coffey back for Canada. 4:28 left in regulation time. Coffey to Howardchuk. Cutting in. Howardchuk shoots off the blocker of Milnikov and then hit by a high stick. And that stops play.
Well, they hit Howardchuk on the fly in full stride through center ice. The defenseman standing still on the play. And Howardchuk just barreled right in over the line. Got a good shot away. Milnikov, here he comes. This is the tag into that rush, and he just ducked past the defense. The speed does it. And they fired the shot off the blocker of Milnikov.
Butt was knocked by a high stick, and the result is the faceoff will come all the way back down into the Team Canada end of the ring. 4:20 left in regulation time.
Absolute sellout here at the Copps Coliseum in Hamilton. 17,037. I think that's a little bit more than a sellout. There's the score, and we have. I mean, it had to be like this, Dan. We simply.
Well, you knew the score was going to be 6-5 for somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
And the time in the bottom left-hand corner, 4:18 left in regulation play. Here's Rochefort to Messier, to Anderson, gets it to center. Anderson to Gartner. Gartner cutting in, but offside on the far side was Gartner. And the face-off will be at the Soviet line.
Most of what you're seeing out there now, unpenalized, is the restraining type fouls. And I don't think that Ron Koharski, being an NHL official, is going to call too much of that stuff. It has to be something pretty gross and indecent for him to make a call now.
Here's Messier to Gardner. Crossman firing it in. Milnikov back to get it. Cleared it off onto the wing. Soviets clear it out, and here's Karutov. Soviets with Karutov cutting in on the left side. Tied up. Now centered and wide open, but elected to pass, and that allowed Crossman to recover and clear it out of there. Milnikov out of the net to feed it up to Makarov, and that's a two-line pass.
Makarov is, I think, the best Soviet here tonight. He has been overshadowed somewhat by his line mate, Vladimir Karutov, but tonight he is just dancing out there. He's doing so many things, and he's very, very strong and dominant in this game. Quite the signs in this building tonight. Some of them are great.
3:41 left in regulation time. Gretzky, Propp, and Lemieux. Coffey gets it to Hartsburg. Shoots from the point. Propp tried for the deflection, but it took off on him and went up into the crowd.
And because he steered it up there, the faceoff is going to be outside the blue line. I think that Viktor Tikhonov has aged a little bit in this tournament.
This week.
So have we. We're not going to get overtime again, are we, Dan?
Good chance of it.
Yeah.
3:36 left. Well, it's almost like you're playing sudden death overtime now.
That's right.
3:36 left in regulation time. Canada win the faceoff, drop it into their own zone, and Pure sets it up for Paul Coffey. Off the boards to Propp. Propp back to Coffey, tipped out, but shot right back in by Fedotov, and quickly cleared out by Canada again. Now Homatov shooting it in. Coffey for Canada. Off the boards for Hartsburg. Four-man rush by Canada. Hartsburg to Propp. Shoots. Milnikov a save. Hartsburg was going for the net, but Milnikov held onto it.
Had the right idea. Feeling is that Milnikov doesn't hold the puck very well, although he certainly did there, taking it off the shaft of his stick and then holding it in his glove. Throw it in, look for the rebound, and here's a good quick shot by Propp. Let it go. And they said the right idea with Hartsburg going for the net, but Milnikov hung onto the rebound. Brian Propp right down there next to Mario Lemieux. Playing a good game tonight.
Here is Sutter with Tocchet and Howard-Chuck for Canada. Semyonov on the faceoff against Brent Sutter. Sutter gets the draw to Murphy. Murphy shoots. That's blocked. And then Seaman slid it out of there with his hand. Once Canada gets possession, then it's waved off. Murphy fires it back in. Hubalev in to get it. Sutter behind the net. Tied up by Hubalev. Look at Sutter battle. To Howard-Chuck. Back on the point for. Shoots up high into the crowd. And we're down to 2:36 left in overtime, or in regulation time. They're not thinking of overtime.
Yeah. You've seen so much of it lately. Jean-Perron high five. 2:36 left in regulation time. And they're going to call a timeout. There you see the signal from Viktor Tikhonov. He has called a timeout here. That'll give, but I don't, you know, when you see Gretzky out there in the middle of a shift anyway, I don't know whether I want to make a timeout call at that particular time. Give those guys a little extra rest.
Well, he must be thinking of Makarov and Karutov and his key people.
Yeah.
But it does give some of the Team Canada aces a chance to catch their breath. 2:36 left in regulation time.
Right in the foreground there, you see Makarov. Now, Keenan has got something going down there. He wants to flood one side of the ice. Move everybody up one side. See what happens. Off the face-off.
Gretzky, Lemieux, and Messier will be up front. Now at the last second, he changes his mind.
Well, when you look at this 10 years from now and you say 6-5, 6-5, 6-5, you say, boy, those must have been pretty awful defensive games. I'd have to put it the other way and say they were terrific offensive games.
Here's Messier. He's out there with Gartner and Anderson. Soviets. Kasatonov coming up with it to Krutov. 2.5 left in regulation time. Good defensive play by Rochefort to break it up. Now Fetisov in center ice. Fetisov loses to Gartner. Gartner cuts behind the net. Gets it in front. Anderson a shot. Loose puck coming to Messier. He fired it around. Here's Anderson again, but tipped away by Kasatonov. Soviets try and clear it. Messier held it in. Now Larionov breaking out to Makarov, and Rochefort is there for Canada. Takes Makarov out and Crossman takes over. Crossman flipping it up. 1:50 left in regulation time. Robchuk shoots it to center. Canada taking control with Murphy. Cross ice to Coffey. Coffey scooping it in. Hustling it after it is Gretzky. And the Soviet player got there first, so it's icing against Canada. 1:36 left in regulation time. And a face-off deep in Team Canada's end of the ring.
Well, now it's hold on time. It'll be Gretzky will take the draw down there. And they're going to send Beckhoff out again. He's their top man in that department. Now you have to control it.
Well, they have Howard, Chuck, Lemieux, and Gretzky all center icemen on the ice, and it looks as though Howard Chuck will draw the assignment against Beckhoff. Howard Chuck wins it in. Here's Lemieux poking at the center. Lemieux ahead to Gretzky. Has Murphy with him on a 2-on-1 to Lemieux. And on goal. He shoots. He scores! Mario Lemieux with 1:26 remaining.
This was a 3-on-1 break. Murphy, the wheelman. Murphy, Gretzky, Lemieux, and he was allowed to get right in close and then picking the corner on the glove side. Going to the glove side high, the scouting report. But you don't give Lemieux that kind of room. But hold it before the celebration gets too far into the night here. We've got 1:26 left, and this is a great hockey team. The Team Canada is playing, and they can come back.
What did I say earlier about Gretzky loading the gun and Lemieux pulling the trigger?
And
there it was in living color.
Tikhonov was down talking to, and you know, this is a common sight. A goal is given up, and he turns around. Rather than rallying his guys, he starts giving people heck. And some poor defenseman is really catching it in the ear right now.
They are a little excited here in Hamilton.
Here we see it again. Number 8 is Murphy, but it's Gretzky. Murphy's the decoy. And there's the shot. Right out of position and unable to make a play with Stelnov.
Mario Lemieux's 11th goal of this tournament. Canada takes a 6-5 lead with 1:26 remaining.
Look at Gretzky now. He's saying, look, we've got 1:26 left. To his teammate Glenn Anderson. I'll hold him. That's what he's saying, because they had scored in the final minute before.
Lemieux from Gretzky, 18:34 the time. Lemieux's 11th goal. They are standing at the Copps Coliseum. Now,
Really unbelievable.
now the Soviets with 1:26 left. And Chinov against Messier. And they'll toss Messier out of there.
Nobody's sitting in this place.
Now Messier allowed to take the face-off against Nemchinov. Gardner breaks away for Canada with Anderson 2-on-1. Pass to Anderson and a goal. Can't get it in front and hits Gardner. Gardner with Milnikov caught out of there. Couldn't center it. Now Soviets Gusarov around on the boards to Fedotov. Here they come to center. Boumalet, number 8. Long shot. Yours there to the side. Kryakin. Bumped by Rochefort. 1 minute left in regulation time. Soviets trying to center. Rossman there to clear it. And Fedotov has to go back after it. With now 50 seconds left. 6-5, Canada leading. Both teams changing on the fly. Kasatonov to Lariano. He's upended. Fetisov shoots it in. Murphy there to clear it. Fetisov holding it in. Shot blocked. Fetisov again. Blocked again, this time by Messier. And Messier flips it to center. 30 seconds left. Here's Kasatonov. To Fetisov, broken up by Messier. Now fired in by the Soviets. Coffey back with 20 seconds left. And Canada cleared out of there. 15 seconds left. Kasatonov back to get it. Joe Karutov. Messier breaks it up. Messier with 7 seconds left. Now Makarov. 4 seconds left. Team Canada wins 6-5. And look at that celebration. The total shots in favor of Canada. And Team Canada wins 6-5 on Mario Lemieux's 11th goal.
May we never, ever hear a word about Mario Lemieux's ability or desire again.
This is the scene in Hamilton. Momentarily, we're going to go to the ice surface. Let's try and go down there now for the final ceremonies and presentation.
We are now ready for the presentation of the players of the game. Could we please have the photographer's cooperation, please? To make the presentation of the Player of the Game awards, I would like to ask from the Canon Camera Company, Mr. Paul Mather. And the District Sales Manager for Labatt Ontario Breweries, Mr. Jim Steele. Before we do make the presentation of these two awards, wouldn't you agree with me to salute the two teams for one of the best series ever played? The player of the game for Team Soviet Union, who will receive a Canon EOS camera. He was tremendous throughout the series. Le joueur Labatt du match pour l'équipe soviétique recevra une caméra Canon. Number 2, le numéro 2, Vyacheslav Fetisov. The player of the game for Team Canada, who will receive the complete set of 10 1988 Olympic Winter Game coins, courtesy of Canadian Tire, le joueur Labatt du match, qui recevra un ensemble complet de monnaie olympique. Team Canada, number 10, Dale Auerchuk. And now, to present the Canada Cup trophy, please welcome as center ice the tournament chairman, Mr. Alan Eagleson. He is joined by Dr. Gunther Zabetsky, president of the International Ice Hockey Federation, and Monsieur Pierre Desjardins, président de la Brasserie Labatt du Canada. Canada Cup will be presented to the captain of Team Canada and the whole team, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the national anthem of the winning team, let's once again hear Mr. Michael Burgess with O Canada.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, through patriot love in our sons' command, car cum brasse porte le pays, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée d'équilibre
Canada wins 6-5 and win the series 2-1. This is the Labatt Canada Cup on CTV.
Ian, how satisfying is this feeling right now?
It's hard to capture the feeling right now. It was a tough battle. I have a lot of respect for the Soviet Union team. They did an absolute fabulous job throughout the tournament, and our players, you have to be particularly proud of them being able to come back from a deficit such as that against such a great team. You have to be proud of these guys and our team representing Canada.
What brought them back? When it was 4-2, the Soviets had got off to such a quick start. What was it that brought them back?
I think it was just composure and a sense of confidence amongst themselves. They've had that throughout the tournament, and that composure helped them keep a stable attitude throughout the game, and as a result, we won it on some individual talent that came through for us, but the overall posture of the team was very, very calm and collected, and that was important. They didn't get down when they were down by a couple of goals.
Michael, they're not too composed now. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Have some fun now. Wayne, get on in here. The captain of Team Canada, the man that won the scoring title, as he does in every international tournament he plays. Wayne, that last goal, tell us about it.
Well, you know, they've been lining up on the face-off and our end the same way the whole tournament. They'd like to tie the centerman up and jump in and get the puck, and we had the defenseman tie the winger up, and Mario jumped in. The defenseman tried to pinch and threw it up, and I came across and picked it up, and you know, myself and Mario made the play, and Mario put the puck in the net, but Larry Murphy, who played a great game, created the whole situation. He went to the net, took the defenseman, and you know, nothing against Larry, but Mario's pretty good around the net. I threw it to Mario. I knew I was going to give it to him all the way in, and you know, Mario made no mistake.
This was such a close series. Every game decided by 1 goal. 2 of the 3 go to overtime. What you felt made the difference, made this team the winner?
Well, I've said it before, and I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be critical to their team. I'm just trying to praise Canadians. That,
That'll be Glenn Anderson. You can talk to him later.
Just the Canadians, since '72, have been winning on guts and pride and desire. We don't get a whole lot of time to get a system down. We've won this tournament on sheer hard work and pride. We played 6 games with about 3 lines, 3.5 lines. We had a lot of injuries. Nobody complained. We had a great time throughout the whole tournament, and you know, it was just a special win. My grandmother's birthday today. Happy birthday.
Big Wayne, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The last time we had a championship decided, Dan Kelly was in a Stanley Cup final. He was in here getting wet. This time, Dan Kelly's upstairs staying dry. How do things look to you up there, Dan?
Okay, Dan, I know the feeling. The third period scoring summary, same act for the Soviets at 12-21 to tie it. And then the game-winning goal, the series-winning goal, Mario Lemieux, his 11th of this tournament at 18:34. Shots on goal, as you see, favor Canada heavily on the night, 46-23. Guts and pride, I think Wayne Gretzky described it best. And Canada wins 6-5, wins the series 2-1. And quite a tournament and quite a series between the Soviets and Canada.
This one not as tidy and neat a hockey game as the first 2 games of this series. Canada had that large edge in shots, but they also made some pretty big mistakes early in the game, as if they were over-prepared mentally. They just simply were too tight. They were overpassing the puck. Things were happening that were all negative, but then things came along. They started to control the game. They started to control the board. Suddenly the Sutters and the Tockets started to control things, and in the end, Canada came back. Another dramatic victory for Canada.
Dan Matheson, grab a towel and go back to work.
Thank you very much. You know, there have been a lot of goals scored in this series, and as Roy mentioned earlier, it's not been a defensive series, but one of the men who's been outstanding from top to bottom throughout the tournament, the goaltender, Grant Pure. Grant, did they cause you any special problems, the Soviets, anything that you hadn't expected throughout this series?
Not really. We got off a bit of a slow start tonight and got ourselves behind the 8 ball, but with a bunch of guys that we have, they all dug down deep. You dig down deep, good things happen.
Well, when it was 3-0, what does a goaltender feel like? You're down in the deciding game, 3-0.
You just hope. I mean, you try to make a couple of saves, hopefully keep the games close. If we can keep it close, you know the guys are going to score you some goals eventually. Whoa. Who is that?
That's Anderson again. In the third period, the team played with so much confidence. It looked like they knew they had the game in the bag, coming out with that 1-goal lead. That's Andy again. What happened in the second intermission? The team came out with so much confidence in that final period.
Oh, we've been down before. I mean, it's not the first time we've been down 2 goals, so. I mean, the guys knew we could come back. It's just a matter we had to dig deep. Play well on our end. If we played well on our end, we knew we'd get our chances in their end.
These guys shooting at you throughout this tournament, some of them can put the puck in the net pretty well. Who scared you?
Their big line plays well. I mean, they kind of have my number through the series. And except for the Soviets, the average wasn't bad, but you play the Soviets, things seem to climb a little bit.
What about the rest of the tournament? You played every minute of every game. Would you just as soon have had a game off sometime? And how do you feel right now physically?
I'm loving it. I mean, the more I play, the better I feel. So the more games I get in, the happier I am, and things worked out.
Well, Grant and Joy, thank you very much. Congratulations. We'll be right back. Canada wins Canada Cup 87. This is Labatt Canada Cup on CTV. The executive producer of Labatt Canada Cup 87 is Tom McKee. Today's game was directed by Michael Lansbury. Labatt Canada Cup 87 is a special presentation of CTV Sports, produced in association with TV Labatt, and is protected by copyright. Any use of this telecast without permission is prohibited.